Hello VC. Probably the video the longest in the making as far as I'm concerned for this channel. This is 2020, a year in review. 2020? It's almost September 2021. Yeah, well, that's how I do. How can you review a year in December? The year is not even finished. And then the stuff that you missed, the stuff you didn't really get a chance to listen, the stuff that you loved at first sight and realized that, oh, I'm never gonna listen to this again. It was just a fling. So, yeah, that's how I tend to roll. Even when I was a music journalist, editor, I always tried to wait, to give time before inflicting these sentences on which records were relevant, were good enough, mattered, have a lasting potential. So here it is, 30 records from 2020, one of the most difficult years for many people here in the VC. And yet an inspiring year as far as music is concerned, as every year, it turns out. So I'm starting with a band who's been around for a good decade, I think, and who I've never really clicked with. That band is Vatican Shadow. Vatican Shadow, probably more known as Purient, a noise artist from America, runs the Hospital label. And for years I've heard people say that that Vatican Shadow is a kind of Muslim Ghost of the 21st century. I never felt it was that, until this. By the way, also contender for best cover of the year. Very topical right now with what is going on in Afghanistan. This is what we're hearing. This monotonous, gloomy, tribal kind of post-industrial music, but quite beautiful at the same time. Yeah, Barb and George. Yeah, well, there's 3 long tracks on this record. They're all good and different. This one is my favorite so far, but yeah, it is when Vatican Shadow, Dominic Furrow, finally gets me. He probably doesn't care. Let's be honest about it. So yeah, I'm gonna try to play snippets of everything. For those who follow my channel, I've already previewed quite a few of these records in several videos over the past year. Because this is also my anniversary. This is my 1 year anniversary video. That's when I started this VC nonsense. I'm soon gonna have a contest about that, by the way. Another very beautiful cover for 2020. Way more the psychedelic side of things, both the music and the art. The Utopia Strong, Dream Sweeper. a guy called Michael Davis, I think. No, Steve Davis, who's a snooker world champion, multi-time world champion. And this project he is with Michael G. York, not Madame Scene's relative. No, this is Michael York, who used to be in Coil during the 2000s. One really good addition to the band. And also a certain Kavan Taobi, who is currently, I believe, a member of Faust, amongst other projects. So this is psychedelic rock, mostly done with synthesizers. And this is live, by the way. They have one studio album and 2 others, like live recording that is being edited. This is they had 2 in 2020. I believe this is the second one. And they're all good, but this one is my favorite. I don't know how to describe this else than psychedelic electronic music that has a lot to do with rock in a way, and I believe they will have more material out this year. I hope so. They're starting to play live again, so alright. By the way, these records are more or less in order, from my favorite to my absolute favorite. It's a countdown. So as AGK usually does, now at number 28, we have Ocker. Ocker released 2 albums in 2020, Sign and Plus, or more Plus and Sign, as Plus came out, I believe, a little bit earlier, a couple of months before. Ocker is a very important band, both for me and music history. This is, I don't know, maybe their 15th album. They started out in 1990, so that's kind of their 30-year anniversary release. And yeah, some people say this is a return to form for Ocker. I believe that every album has something new to offer. I really like this track. I think it's called X4. They are very cryptic with their track title, their artwork. Nice printed inner sleeve. It's like a metallic blue. So Ocker, let's not give you too much context if you don't know all this. Like, let's enjoy this for what it is. This is just post-hip-hop electronic music that tries to push the envelope as much as possible. And yeah, there's not a record from Ocker I don't like. I don't love them all. This one I'm getting there. I'm really getting there. So there's so much happening at the same time. It's a really, really good record. Next is something very different. Oh, I don't know. At least mostly outside of music I gravitate towards. This is a band from Kenya on a label from Uganda, with probably the best cover of 2020. This is Duma. So this is like power noise, grindcore with black metal singing from Central Africa. There's nothing like that around anywhere. Before I knew if I liked this, I was supremely intrigued by this. This is probably not what anyone would call pleasant music, but this is happening in the world, and I find this very exciting. And I actually enjoy listening to this. And this cover is just such a strong design sense with a simple Hidey.
Why didn't you tell me? You
now at number, what is it? 26? We have a Teleplasmist. Pretty cool cover as well.
My greetings to the mothership that wants to stand by.
This is like esoteric electronic music. Which also features Michael York, formerly of Call, and Mark Pilkington from Manchester, a brilliant sound designer who works for the BBC amongst other things, if I remember correctly. This was released on House of Mythology, which I believe is David Tibet's label. It's their second album and it's really, really strong.
Danke schön.
next at 25. This means very little in a way. Like I made like blocks of 5 records up to like the first 5, etc. It could change in that way, so don't take it too seriously. It's just like to have a general idea of the progress between all these albums, even if I think they're all really strong.
Don't let them fool themselves.
This is a record that really surprised me. This is the second album from this project, Philip Solman, who used to produce techno under the name of FDemin, and this is kind of like a big band of German left field musicians doing like German gamelan. And the more I listen to this, the more I really like it. His first album was interesting. It was kind of like a Terry Riley spoof in a way. But this is much better. It was a good album, that first one. I have it somewhere here. But this one manages to achieve something more interesting, more unique. Yeah, this is how it was, like the instrumentation. I don't know if you can see it too much. So it's like ceremonial ritual music for a pagan society. That's what we call Germans, right? Tuning. This is Drew McDowell. His 4th album, I believe. Under that name, at least. He's done lots of stuff. Most famously being a member of Coil during the 90s and early 2000s. 2000s. believe, a New York resident. And this track features a bunch of singers that I don't know. It's really beautiful. Pretty weird cover. Another great cover, really cool design. This is Glassdub. This is a dub record with some songs, with singers, some more like ambient stuff, but all the tracks have like a root, or rooted in dub music. This one is more like industrial dub, but it's really powerful. This came out on the Berceuse Héroïque label from London, who also did this t-shirt years ago. It's just a slump. I didn't plan that, but Glassdub, he's got like quite a few albums and EPs, and I would say that he's in a constant evolution, and this is for me is like a real groundbreak in his discography. This is a record I knew nothing about. I don't know the artist. Turned out I knew him. He was actually a musician on some electronic music records I have and enjoy. Stuff from Matthew Herbert, I believe, if I remember correctly. And this is a prepared piano album which he composed, but he's not actually playing it. It's someone called Kit Downs plays. But it's Max de Vardener. Every year I manage to find a piano album that I really like. Sometimes more than one. 2020, that was this one. It's got like about 10 tracks. Lots of really good stuff in this. Some more natural sounding piano, some more abstract. This is kind of in between, and post-production probably. Pressing is, it's alright, it's not the best, it's a little bit, but it's not too distracting. All the others are really good pressings. Next one. Next one is Beatrice Ferrara. Huelas entreveradas. Huelas entreveradas. Beatrice Ferrara. Beatrice Ferrara is a musique concrète, stable name, historical name. She's been doing stuff in France for 30 years, maybe more, but she's only recently had her release, her music released on vinyl, and there has been an inflation of that. We'll talk about her more, you'll see. This is a composition she did for the Gumeb, I believe it's called. It's the Bourges, which is a city in France. Yeah, the Groupe de Recherche Électroacoustique de Bourges. Yeah, it's basically a music department of electroacoustic music in Bourges, which is another city in France. Very important historically for electronic music.
Yeah.
Sorry. This is also pressed on 45. Nice homage to François Bayle. So musique concrète is, it's not field recordings, but it's using sounds extracted from the world, and not music instruments, and then making a collage, a narrative collage of it, using effects, overdubs, and she's great. So much intensity in this. La babale du chien-chien à la mémère, which is impossible to translate, but the bobble of the dog of the mom. This is from 2001. The pieces on this record ranges from 2018 to 2001 and 2007. This was released on Persistence of Sound. Great label. Next is Chris Watson, formerly of Cabaret Voltaire. This is a very special album on a London label, I believe. Chris Watson left Cabaret Voltaire in the early 80s, mid 80s, early 80s, I believe. And since then, he's been one of the prime field recording artists in the Western world, going to various regions of the world and finding music within the sounds of nature, directing the microphones in the right direction so that he would find stuff that, like, uncomposed symphonies in a way. So this one here it is. This is Notes from the Forest Floor, recorded in a La Selva Tropical Rainforest Reserve in Costa Rica, December 11th, 2019. At 4 o'clock in the morning, I walked cautiously down the track towards my GPS marker from the following day. Sweeping an arc with the red beam of my head torch, I scanned the leader in advance of my footsteps for movement. This area of forest is known for fer de lance and bushmasters, both highly venomous pit vipers, and not something you would wish to step on in the darkness. All around, cicadas and poison dart frogs click, whir, and buzz, weaving a hypnotic layer from which the calls of howler monkeys and moths underscore the blackness. Slowly, the frequencies appear to shift, metallic tones cross-modulating with grey-green shafts of sunlight to reveal a silvery harmonic pulse clinging to the foliage. Doesn't get much better than this. Electric Sewer Age, which is Danny Hyde, who used to be the main secret weapon of Coil during the 90s, early 90s. This is his third album under that name, and it's gorgeous. Great use of auto-tuning. Next, a band from Portugal. One of the really interesting countries for modern music right now. This is Oneness. Oneness. Or Oneness? I don't know, it's very cryptic. This was released at the very tail end of 2019. I don't know if it was distributed in 2019. I certainly didn't discover this in 2019. So it's kind of a mixture of like Chicago footwork, juke, Angolese, tribal music, and techno. A great cover, really, really good cover art. The album is there's quite some diversity, but there are lots of tempos like that, quite high tempos. Now is something quite different. This is Max Sterling's second album. His first one was stunning. Maxwell Sterling is a British cellist who also dabbles into electronic music.
For one thing,
he mixes both.
It's actually not my music because it's a combination.
For
of
the
different
jazz lovers,
experiences.
this voice and this cover might mean something. This is a quilt made by Moki Sherry, Don Cherry's wife, and this is Don Cherry's voice.
That involves the music that we play together, that I'm playing alone.
So for you Don Cherry lovers, this is kind of one of the missing pieces of the puzzle. It's a really, really good album. I'm just playing a snippet, so it's not always fully representative of the whole album, but there you go. So this is Maxwell Sterling at 16. Position 16 in this top 30. This is really great.
People to see an instrument that's made by hand, always the first reaction is, oh, this is something primitive.
At position.
But then when the black people that I've met have heard the instrument, they can relate to it. And they start singing and start dancing. Good thing is that it has a certain kind of concentration that you have in playing the instrument. That you have to
Litzsteinberger's latest album. It's a double LP in this very thick cardboard set, which comes with like a sealed screen poster, numbered. For those of you who enjoy Alvanotto, this was released or co-released on a raster Noton or Noton, raster, I don't know what it's called later nowadays. I didn't like his previous records, but this one is really, really good electronic music. Both the rhythms and the sounds, and this is pure synthesis. It's not drum machines or synthesizer. It's like it's synthesis. Something less dramatic. Or this is Anushka Shkedze. Anushka Shkedze from Ukraine. Her first album on the Ukrainian label called CES Records. Kind of a mixture of Boars of Canada and Played at their best. I believe she has new material coming out right now. This is so good. There's a techno aspect to it. It's not necessarily techno that you would play in a club. It's a little bit too soft in a way. The band whose name I love. This is Further Reductions. This is, I believe, his third or fourth album or record. This is an EP, I believe. He's part of many projects that I like of dance music. And this is his more like this kind of house with psychedelic inspirations, and I just find this brilliant, very smart, very cool, very cool groove. Next one is an EP. There's no cover art, it's just a regular generic disco bag. It's called Laksa. It's a British guy, and it's my favorite club track from 2020. Even if this is pretty cool for chill out. But the next one, this is what I'd play for kind of left field or like crazy dance floor. Laksa. Laksa. Next is an album with a pretty cool cover as well. This is Up Sami. I believe this is her first album. Up Sami. Also electronic music, like post club electronic music. Quite different, coming from the free improv scene with Nicola Ratti, like prepared guitar improv, with Giuseppe Jelasi, very good electroacoustic composer from Italy. This is their duo called Belows, and the album Undercurrent. Insanely good cover art also. So this is the theme of this album is the illegal migration. These are immigrants crossing the border. How the music is related to that, I'll leave it to you. But this is just sublime guitar and electronics and treatment. Really murky, isolationist, which is probably how you feel when you cross the border of the US. I really love this. Love the cover, love the concept, love the music. It's quite restrained, which is not the case of next track. Now you have Jagolasa. His fourth album, I believe, on Planet Mu. 2020 had this album from Ryan Fenor, which is quite similar, but Jagolasa really won the competition of ultra digital dance music, post club also. Like, he really embraces the aesthetics of the digital soundscape. This is not warm, even if, yeah, the bass sound is quite, yeah, it is warm in a way, but it's also very clinical. I'm a sucker for this kind of rhythms, this kind of groove. And all the music in the background is so good. Maybe the wrong track. Fatten Cannon, a woman from Libya, I believe. I think she's from Libya, doing really great synthesizer electronic music. Very romantic. Her first album was fun, really great. No, it's her fourth album. Her second one was not good. Her third one was quite good, and this one is wow. Very cool cover with selected varnish and some concept behind the titles. It's 9, I believe, in getting closer to the top. Now, something very strange. This is the first album from HHY and the Kampala unit. This is music from Uganda, made in Kampala, in the capital of Uganda, using the brass ensemble from the local prison. It's called Lithium Blast. Lots of brass and horns, maybe not in that track, but this is a grower. At first, I thought this was intriguing. I didn't know really what to make of it, but intriguing enough to get it. And now I would dare say that the whole album is good. Everything is either interesting or fucking great. I can't even say which track is my favorite. They're all so different. This is maybe one of the least melodic ones. But those drums. The cover art, it's pretty ugly, but it works. Modern African music. It's kind of like really like ghetto R&B. The flow, the intonation. It's fucking great. It's not my favorite track of the album, but I love this. But I thought I'd play a track in French, since she is French. That's her. First it was the featuring of Lala NC. Now that's La Fawanda. Can it get more dreamy than that? And I think the tuba and the trombone is coming, because that's the main instrumentation. Number 5.
And others were like words that I could not say, and others like dead people lying on the grass.
Mark Lecky.
I went on among them, though they frightened me, and my heart was full of wicked songs that they put into it. I sang the songs I thought of. Songs full of words that must not be spoken or written down. Then I made faces like the faces on the rock.
This gets me every time.
And I twisted myself about, like the twisted ones. And I lay down flat on the ground like the dead ones. And the story was all true.
This is kind of psychogeography made to music. This is London. This is a psychoacoustic journey into London. Mark Leckie is, in my opinion, the most important musician of the past 10 years. All genre. This is a sound collage. It's impossible to define, to explain. I want to read it. There's a kind of an explanation. Number 5. It's not always creepy like that, but I like it when it's creepy as well. The harmonics are so beautiful there. It's like a dirty pink vinyl. At number 4, a record I struggle to understand the concept, but I don't care. I find the music excellent. So this is Nozomu Matsumoto. This is music for an installation by Niall Cutting at the Hermes Foundation. Hermes, the luxury brand. So he uses the lyrics of punk tracks from the early 80s. This one is The Exploited, a track called Sex and Violence. You'll hear the voice in a second. Or in a few seconds. There's some vocal synthesis, if I remember correctly. Sustainable Hours, it is called. Such beautiful synthesis.
Sex. I love sex. I love all any sex. Hurry up, sex, and putting the booty in sex.
The various bands and lyrics used.
Sex and
The Exploited, The Misfits, Discharge, Crass, Sid Vicious, Minor Threat, and Black Flag. number 3. This is also music from Portugal. This is a record from the label Principe, who also released this great EP last year, in 2020. Really, really good. But I had to go with the album of A.K. Adrix. This is hand-painted cover. They probably have like a stencil. All the covers of their albums on this label are like that. So this is dance music influenced by Angola, the colony of Portugal. And the groove is just so good. It's very minimalistic. Just drums and a few samples. I love the syncopation that this creates. Number 2. First at number 3, A.K. Adrix, Portugal. Is, I believe, a transgender artist. He or she never really addresses that. All this is made with the voice of the composer. That's the sole instrument. There's a new album coming up in the next few weeks of reworkings of this. number one. If you follow my channel, you probably figured it out. Something I never expected. This is Hilary Wood's second album, Birthmarks. Her 2-year journey to surviving her pregnancy, produced by Lasse Marhaug, the Norwegian noise artist. She's an Irish singer, and this is just the production. Oh my god! It was mastered by Stéphane Mathieu. We'll talk about in the next video, because my next video will be my favorite archival recordings and reshoots of 2020. And Stéphane Mathieu, who's become one of the top mastering engineers in the world, in my opinion, will be featured there for his music after getting the top spot for best music of 2020. Hilary Woods. It didn't get better for me that year. This track is called Through the Dark Love. Birthmarks has been a labor of intensity and intuition written over the course of 2 years, recorded whilst heavy pregnant in the winter of 2019. Woods explores the oscillating and volatile processes of selfhood, survival and becoming. That's it. That was 2020 in a review with distance. I've listened to most of these records throughout 2020 and the beginning of 2021, and I still find lots to dig and to enjoy in these, even when we're closer to the end of 2021 than the end of 2020. By all means, use the comment section and discuss this if you have inclination for that. I've listened to thousands of records in 2020. It was not the best year for club music. It wasn't the best year for rock. I believe I got more good rock already in 2020. It was a great year for music, despite the naysayers. Even if most of this music was probably produced and recorded before the pandemic. 2021 will be the music of the pandemic. Hilary Wood's Birthmarks. Keep it stunty, and I'll see you somewhere on YouTube and in the next video or in the comment section. It's very difficult to cut on that track, that is so good as well. But that's what it is. We kept it under 90 minutes for 30 records. That's quite a feat in itself. Feature. And yeah, that's it. Let's get some fucking reverb.